Good night and welcome to the Galen Hour. It is such a pleasure to be back with you tonight. The Galen Hour, as you know, is a production of Galen University and it focuses on academic excellence, sustainable development, and lifelong learning. It is a pleasure to be here on Wednesday nights. I want to say a big thank you to Dr. Dorian Barrow, who sat in for me last week when I was not able to be here. But it is a pleasure to be here with you tonight. And so what time is it? For time check purposes, it is the Galen Hour time. We are here with season 9 of the Galen Hour, and we're focusing this season on graduate research topics. As you know, we have several graduate programs that we offer at Galen University. This one is focusing on research done by students who have graduated from the Masters in Business Administration. And tonight we're looking at BPO work experiences and career mobility in Belize City. That was the focus of Celine Barrow's research. I'd like to introduce our guests that we have in studios tonight. We have with us Ms. Victoria Tun, who is the Vice President of the Business Process Outsourcing Association. Welcome, Ms. Tun.
Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you tonight, and we look forward to the discussion.
Same.
Coming in live, coming in virtually, we have Ms. Celine Barrow, who is a Galen alumna. Hi, Celine, welcome. And who is the researcher whose topic we are going to be discussing tonight. Welcome, Celine. Thank you for being here tonight. Right. So, as I had said earlier, we use this Galen Hour to showcase our commitment to academic excellence. Part of the research done by our graduate students is an example of the excellence we talk about. And we support and foster lifelong learning. And so all of this that we do through the Galen Hour, through our Eagle podcast that is starting in the first week of November, and lots of the other initiatives we take, is for us to promote education, lifelong learning, and of course, excellence that Galen stands for. So I'm Diana Gomez Perifit, and it is a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I look forward to the discussion that we have in store for you tonight, and welcome to our viewing audience on TV, social media. If you're viewing us, we are streaming live on social media, both Love's as well as Galen's Facebook page. So we take a quick break and then we come back and get right into the discussion. Stay tuned to the Galen Hour.
Oftentimes,
Hi, my name is Christian Loza, and I earned my bachelor's in business administration with a minor in economics and a master's of business administration from Galen University. I currently work as the general manager at Logistics BPO in Corozal Town. Galen helped sharpen my leadership skills and strategic thinking, giving me the confidence to manage a high-performing team in a fast-paced environment. If you're considering Galen, I highly recommend it. It's not just about earning a degree, it's about the opportunities and the confidence it gives you to excel in your career. Join Galen and invest in your future today.
oftentimes it only takes a spark to ignite the fire that burns inside of us. At Galen, we're committed to academic excellence, and our student-centered service is available to all our Eagles. You too can become a Galen Eagle.
Hello, my name is Gerald Velasquez, and on behalf of Galen University, I would like to extend an invitation for men to come back to school. Young, old, near, far, wherever you are.
It all starts with a question. What if I really could become a Galen Eagle? And suddenly, the answer feels closer than ever. Get your eagle on. Come soar with the Galen Eagles.
Good night again, and thank you for tuning into the Galen Hour. We're talking about the BPO sector. We have in studios with us Ms. Victoria Tun, and we want to start this discussion by talking about a little bit about the BPO sector in terms of its statistics and all of that. Okay. I know, or the BPO sector, I think the most recent statistics says it employs about 20,000
It's
Belizeans.
roughly about 18,000 to about 20. We are more gauging it that those are the ones that we know are paying social security contributions. Again, you might be having those ones that, they're like the ones that they open on their own, but they're not registered. But those are ones maybe that somebody opens from within a home base and then they're not there as what you would say an organization. 50, it's a roughly, the last time we did a count, it was 55 organizations that are BPOs registered. So it's about roughly
Excellent.
18,000 to 20, yeah.
So it is definitely not a sector that we can ignore. It's a sector that is contributing majorly to our economic, to the economy of Belize and definitely to the unemployment rate within
Correct.
our country. Am I right in saying that BPOs have surpassed the government of Belize in terms of the amount of people employed?
I would say that. I think right now in the private sector, it has surpassed that amount, definitely. I think the last estimate we got was it's generating about 190 million in the economy.
Absolutely significant to our economy and to to the growth of our people and the well-being of our people. Because if we don't have jobs, neither our nation or our people will do well. So great. So we have Celine, who Celine, if we could bring you in at this point, who did her research on the BPO sector. I don't know if you want to tell us just generally what your research was and what it focused on, and quite maybe what prompted you to use this sector for your research.
Of course. So my research that I did for my thesis was focused on career mobility. So employees' work experience and career mobility in the BPO sector in Belize City. What helped me to do a research in this capacity was that I was employed at Voice International for 7 years. So I have undergone different positions employed at the BPO, and I've experienced challenges or undergo some difficulties myself. And also, as fellow colleagues, they share their experiences, and it was just a real life thing for me. So doing my research in that capacity was so rewarding, and I don't regret it.
Good, thank you. Yes, so we do know that you have some good insights to share with us tonight as the discussion unfolds. But in terms of the long-term career opportunities of the BPO sector, does it offer long-term career opportunities?
I think when someone is looking for a job for the first time, they see it as a stepping stone. I think, and as usual, the BPO does have a black eye from people that would just say different things about it. Again, it depends which BPO you go to. Each entity is run differently. And again, I would say if you're coming in and you finally get to see what is the benefits in a BPO sector, you get to see the leadership, the pathway that is there, then I see that people has come into a point that they change their mind. They're saying, okay, now there's the recruitment department I can go into. There's the HR that we can go into. So there's different ways that you can lead. You don't have to just stay at an agent level. And that is something that we ourselves have recognized in the BPO over the years, is that we need to make sure that we have pathways for the people coming in to see what next. Where else can we take our Belizeans to another level?
Oh, so in essence, the BPOs are already looking at that whole career advancement.
Correct, yeah.
Within BPOs. Celine, I don't know if at this point you wanted to mention anything about what you might have found with respect to the career development.
Sure, yes. So like the initial question, if when employees, start the BPO sector, would they look at it as as a career? Like the person on board shared with us, many employees who start the BPO sector, they started as their first job. So in my research, it showed that majority of the persons who are employed at the BPO at the entry level position, they're high school graduates. So it helps in that aspect as it relates to employment. So providing employment to individuals coming out the high school, looking for a job, and just being able to learn the basic skills, whether it's time management, punctuality, and then soft skills, just being able to communicate. But also, not only because of the employees coming to the BPO sector and then seeing what the BPO sector offer and then look at it then at that point as maybe, okay, this is something that I could do long term. But in my research, I found out that financial dependency played a significant part. And as employees started to compare as an entry level position with minimal education, that is high school, the salary that they're making comparing to other positions, such as like a teller. So because of that, that also contributed to why employees would look at it as a career.
I'm glad that you mentioned the salaries because that would have been my next question, Victoria, in terms of how do the salaries in the BPO sector compared to the salary within the rest of the private sector, and is that a reason why we find more employees choosing the BPO sector?
It is a very competitive rate. Again, it has a lot of benefits. They have some of the BPOs that offer insurance plans. You have a longevity in the sense of it all boils down to your drive. I keep on telling everyone it's not for everyone, but some people go in and they really like it, and the money aspect is what drives them a lot. And again, I've been in so many different discussions with people saying, you're hurting our industry, you're taking away our people from us. And it's like you have a wage war. There's no way we can compete against the BPO sector. And we know at some point, it's like, and even now, there's even another sector that people are seeing agent level, and it has grown so far from that. So we have clients now that are reaching out and saying, could you look, which is like an augmentation, which is, can you look for an HR for me? And now we have HR representative that is doing globally across Belize. So it's no longer just working at agent level. There's different things. They're looking for accountants. They're looking for law firm representatives.
Fantastic, because that is where we want to see the BPO sector to
Definitely.
go. From not just that level of a call center where you're accepting calls, but to where you're actually offering skilled services.
That's correct. Yeah.
And if that is the direction that the BPO sector is going, which is what we want it to do, then the BPO sector is going to be a sector to reckon with. And so I hear the rest of the private sector, but I think maybe this will hopefully encourage better pay and better salaries, because if we are to be honest, the salaries in Belize, when we compare to other countries within our region, are not necessarily the best. And it's good to know that the BPO sector does offer our Belizeans competitive salaries.
Correct.
Competitive enough that even with because no organization is perfect, but even with whatever negatives that they may come up with, that they still find it worth their time because the money is good, right? Yeah. But we're here to talk about how the career mobility as well as just the general information on the BPO sector. So I like what I'm hearing. What is the profile of a BPO employee?
Okay, so I am the director at Protel for talent acquisition, marketing, and culture. And when it's time to hire for someone, it all depends of what we're looking for, depending what client we're looking for. We look for mainly between 18 to 35. Again, that is pretty much because of the tech savvy. You're looking for someone that is very key on their feet when it comes to the computer system. Definitely that is the number one aspect when it comes to that communication skill set. How do they speak to people? Do they have empathy? So those are the skill set that we're looking for. And again, is like, you cannot always get that. So we've learned in our industry is that we have to understand that they have people coming out from high school that might have that type of skill set. So we just have to train them properly to reach where we need them to reach. But that is pretty much what we're looking for, someone that is on your feet when it comes down to the technology. And those are different programs that we definitely as a country would need to more emphasize in training for leadership roles and stuff like that when it comes to that.
Good. So, but the BPOs in general, and you're speaking on behalf of the association, does do training.
Yes. So what we're doing right now, we have even Mrs. Dr. Diane Chamberlain. She did. She's working right now with the IDB. They got a facilitating workshop right now for cybersecurity, for cloud engine. They're doing human resource backative, all of this different sectors that they brought people from London to come in and to train some of our people's here. So that way we can then pass on the training to the people within the organization.
Very good. So Celine, in your research, was there any mention of the training received? Was that something that your audience that you interviewed spoke to?
Yes. So one of the questions in the survey asked the employees if they receive some type of training. And every single person that did the survey, which was about 60 from the 10 different BPOs that the survey focused on in Belize City, said that they received some type of training, whether it was soft skills training, on the job learning, but different type of training that they're offered that I guess is tailored to the different BPOs and the capacity that they would occupy.
Okay, so we can safely say that the BPO is developing our human capital. Those that work at the BPOs are being developed through the training that the BPOs find necessary to develop for.
Definitely. What we do, like internally right now at Protel, what we're doing is we're identifying what is our lacking in our leadership. We're doing development leadership training. And I know a lot of the different organizations across the board, we're sitting on the board and we're discussing about what are we actually lacking here. And we're making our own leadership training happen within, so that way we could have that pathway for them.
Great. All right. Yeah. So which is I would believe in tune with what all organizations do. We train our employees to be able to deliver what we have hired them to deliver and a little bit more to ensure our success. So in terms of the work experiences beyond the training, Celine, is there any particular key things that might have stood out from your research that we'd like to bring up at this point?
Yeah, so when I did my survey, I looked at employees' work experiences, and work experiences were measured through variables, which were job satisfaction and work conditions. So as it relates to job satisfaction, many BPOs in Belize City report being moderately to highly satisfied with their jobs. So the survey showed that 59% of the respondents rated the satisfaction levels between 4 to 5, which was moderate or highly satisfied, which just stated general contentment with their role. Um, as it relates to work conditions, though, favorable conditions, employees with, so this was kind of mixed as it relates to the work conditions, because where everybody said that the work conditions were favorable as it relates to their work location, the computers, the equipments that the different BPOs provide. They were okay with that. But work conditions that affected them was more so the strict KPIs, the matrix that they had to meet. Some BPOs, each BPO company is different. The type determine the type of services that they provide. The KPI level sometimes is really hard to meet, and meeting your KPIs at some point determine if you would be employed or not. Because once you go through the training and the sales and the technicalities of the company, it comes to a point where it's either if you can meet the goals or you're not able to meet the goals. So because of that, that created some level of pressure of employees. Sometimes they would say they come to work and they just don't know if today would be their last day. They're trying to be able to meet the goals, whether it's QA score or whether it's any other thing relating to what the BPO does. So that was something that stood out as it relates to the technicalities of the work conditions that employees in the BPO sector in Belize City face.
From the association perspective, Victoria?
So from that is what we've noticed, right? I think it all, like she mentioned, it comes and it validates from the BPO that you're coming from. I think it starts off from recruitment. You have to make sure when you're putting these candidates in seats that they're qualified to be in these seats. Being a recruiter, I understand that sometimes we have 100 seats to fill, but we need to make sure that we are doing justice to the candidate and so as well as the company. We cannot just be putting people in these seats. So I think if we're not doing dual justice from the beginning, then we mismatch their skill set, and that's where the frustration sets in, because the person that she described, that sounds like a complete salesperson. And if you're not meeting your goal, then at some institutions, I've heard it, we might just be sent home today. Again, if that's not it, we as an institution need to say, you know what, this person is not making these KPIs. Do you think we should transfer them to a customer service? And I think that is something that all of us have to look into more and saying, we mismatched that person. Can we now transfer this person to a different campaign? Could we, so we could make it work for both of us at some point, yeah.
In the BPO lingua, KPIs is what? Key production indicators?
Yes, it's so pretty much is they have like a quality assurance that they have to meet, especially when it comes to the sales aspect. They have to have their KPIs, they have to have all these different things that they have to meet on a daily average. And it mainly goes more for the sales aspect more than a customer service line of business.
Okay. All right, good. So we do know, I mean, it's interesting, but what I'm hearing is typical of most organizations, and stringent KPIs are not necessarily unique only to a BPO. I've never worked in a BPO, and I'm listening to the research, and I'm hearing you, so maybe it's a bit different. But I know in some financial institutions, you find that employees are also under the same kind of pressure to meet
them.
Their the desired output and their goals. So I believe with whichever sector we work within, there comes that demand for be it quality, output, bringing in new clients, whatever it may be. But I like the fact that you identify that the proper matching with individuals.
That plays the most important when we're bringing somebody in that institution. We need to come in from the beginning and say, is this person qualified for this type of position? Because if we mismatch them from the start, it's going to be a lot of frustration for that person. The thing is, when you're hiring, you see people coming in and they're like, I want to be on the $9 to the $10 campaign. I want to be on the $12 campaign. And when you're hearing the dollar figure, it's okay, but those campaigns are the money makers. So those are all the sales campaigns you're looking at, but not everyone is made for that. And that's the thing. If we put them there and they can't make it there, that's where the frustration comes in for them, because at the end of the day, they're not going to be making that. You know, some people are just fitted for customer service more than the sales aspect.
Good. I mean, good. And it's good that you're not necessarily, or it depends on the BPO, terminated if you're not meeting your KPIs. There may be opportunity for you to be moved and rematched with something that better fit your skills. Yeah,
so what we normally do is we bring you back in, we do a re-evaluation on you to see what were you missing. Is it a will issue? Or is it that you're just trying and we can't see you're not getting it? Then we could understand. Let's give you a try on something else, maybe scripted, because there's customer service and there's also scripted. Someone that if they don't have a script, they cannot do that campaign either. So it's a lot of different keen details, but it starts from how do you put that person in that seat from the start.
Very good. So are these across the board practices for all the BPOs within the association, or it differs based on the BPO?
It really differs based on the BPO. I came from one of the bigger BPOs. We had approximately 1,500 seats at the time I was at Transparent BPO, and now I've moved on to ProTel, and we are at 500 seats. So, and I do know both of them carry that in depth of how do we gauge that person going into a seating. Again, so I could speak on those BPOs. And at the moment when I'm listening to my president speaking about his one, he always says, I need to make sure I match them on the proper skill set. Because we know how that can be an attrition waiting to happen if we do not get that person in the right seating.
Great. So there are two things. I'm wondering, in terms of developing the skill set, what could an educational institution such as Galen do? But I'm also, before we go to that, and before I lose this curiosity of where are most BPOs in the country located?
In the city, actually.
Right here in Belize City?
It's literally in the city. You could, I think it's so wild. You could go onto Tomal Street, you see one. You go on the road, you see one. Then everywhere you go, there's literally right around each other at this point. So in the city, we have most of the BPOs right now.
Followed by which?
I think after that, then they're spread between Belmopan to Cayo.
Okay.
Then you'll find one or two, like on the outskirts going up there.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's between the east and the west. districts. Okay.
Then we have in Corozal as
Corozal,
well, but it's not as much as what we have right now. But we do see a lot going into the Orange Rock, and the reason for that one is they've always said when we're sitting on the board, they're saying we need to go because they're thinking foresight of when the hurricane season comes in, you know. So they're seeing it that way as well. So
As having other locations away from the coast.
correct. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, very good. I mean, that is what business is about. You have to be strategizing. You have to be looking into the future, forecasting, looking at what are the best decisions. And obviously, it's good to know that the BPO sector is not seeing us as a short-term
Definitely
investment.
not. I've looked at it as if we do what we need to do. Everyone is saying, how do you feel that you guys might not have a job in the next 2 years because AI is taking over? And that has been something that I said. They're not taking over. What is happening is we need to get with where we're at now. We need to adapt. You cannot run from change. Change is there. But what we need to do now as a sector is now investing in our people to a different level. So there's not just a basic customer service anymore. We need to get them prompt to doing other critical thinking out of the box, get them with cybersecurity, get them to start opening the industry to a bigger one so at some point we can be the hub of a career ecosystem which offers much more than just doing sales and customer service and data, what we're known for.
Very good. It's good to hear that. So, quickly, before we take, because we're almost at the halfway mark for the night, the hour certainly flies when we're enjoying. But I wanted to bring you in, Celine, to ask, I'm listening to Victoria talk, and I'm wondering, in terms of what your research showed in terms of career development and listening to what the BPO Association is saying is the direction they're going in terms of matching, training, looking ahead, how does your research tie in with what we're hearing?
Okay, so my research mainly focused on career mobility and career mobility more so outside of the BPOs. So a lot of employees, based on the surveys that I did, many employees are saying that they are in the BPO sector because it's a stepping stone. They identified it as a stepping stone, and then they get caught up in it because of the financial dependence becoming not so an issue, but more so a benefit. And they were saying that also the reason why they're at the BPO sector and that they're not able to transition or career mobility really to happen is because political clientelism also plays a role as it relates to they're not able to get the job that they really want. For example, a lot of employees that participated in the study or in the research shared that they would like to transition into more professional suited careers such as teaching, nursing, government roles as it relates to police officer, etc. But they're saying that they come in the BPO sector, most of them with just basic high school, and yes, they are learning these skills that are deemed transferable skills to other industry, but there's still a bridge where they're not able to get to these more suited positions. For example, a nurse. Employees could work at a BPO sector for 5 years, but they would not have the qualifications to become a nurse. They would, yes, develop, skills, etc., but they're not able to transition into that career mobility. So that's, I think, when you asked earlier where Galen comes in, that would be something that Galen comes in, being able to help employees in the BPO sector bridge that gap to transition into these more suitable careers that they are saying that they would love to do.
All right, good. So on that note, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back with the Galen Hour. Stay tuned.
My year, my life, my education. Galen University, my choice for excellence in education. Apply today. For more information, email us at admissions@galen.edu.bz or give us a call at 614-6415. Come soar with the Galen Eagles.
At Galen University, specifically in this MBA program, we are trained to be global leaders. we have to start to think beyond the borders of Belize. We have to look at expansion and growth beyond just our local area, interregional, and, well, the entire world. Because, like what was mentioned, right now, the country is a global market. You can do business with anyone, anywhere. You can offer services, you can offer your products to anyone in any part of the world. And so, what we are trained to do at Galen is to think globally. So, as a business leader, as a administrative person, somebody who needs to make decisions on a daily basis, we need to have to be equipped. And that experience that comes from our facilitators at Galen helps us to think that way and to look beyond what we have locally, and how we try to develop our industries.
Welcome back to the Galen Hour. We're talking about the BPO sector and career mobility within that particular sector. And we ended just before a brief commercial break there at break, talking about education. But I like what that last, what Mrs. Claudette Elter said in that snippet that we just showed about the country is a global market. Yeah. When you're talking BPO, that is just such a demonstration of how global it is. You know, you're working here, but you're not working necessarily for local clients, yeah, right, or with local clients, right? So when we were in the break, we were talking a little bit about education and how the BPO sector helps to facilitate those students who are pursuing their education.
That's true. Especially right now, since I'm at Protel, when I moved over there, the attraction for going there was because it was Belizean owned and Belizean run. And coming from other institutions that were expats were running it, moving to that, it was such an attraction going into that mindset. For example, our CEO, Mr. Kevin Herrera, he's big in education. He has always made it very known if you have somebody and you could try to get them in, give them part-time. We have Galen students that work with us. Mm-hmm. And we try to, like she mentioned, she said there's somebody that might want to be a nurse at some point. Mm-hmm. So, you know, if they're coming with us and they're working part-time, they're going to work to get there if they're willing to work to get there. Mm-hmm. So we work for part-time. We hire part-time for students because we understand. I mean, we understand the society. Mm-hmm. We understand the financial battles that they have. So, you know, that's one of our stuff is to grow our own Belizeans and to make different shifts to make this happen for them as well.
That is really good to hear. And I know quite a few students at Galen who are funding their education through working at BPOs because those are the jobs that are accessible to them. Mm-hmm. Yes, the workload, and maybe that's something Celine can come in on. Sometimes it is a little bit demanding on your time, but that's the nature of the job. And Celine, maybe from your research, if you could talk a little bit about what was said about the workload and the work-life balance maybe within the sector?
From the research, I didn't really cover or nobody shared as it relates to that, but I can talk about it from my experience because I was employed at a BPO and I was going to school. I did my bachelor's and then my master's at Galen. So working at the BPO sector, also you, for the particular BPO that she's at, she said she's at Protel, so they offer part-time. At the BPO that I was employed at, Voice, they don't hire part-time, they maybe hire seasonal, but there is where you can get school schedule. So it just depends on your performance. So the KPIs that we talked about earlier, once you're meeting your goals, whether it's sales goals, QA goals, once you're meeting your goals, showing up on work on time, etc., you can then qualify for a school schedule. And once you get a school schedule, they basically build your work schedule around your school schedule. So that helps in that regards. But as it relates to the workload, it's just, you just have to put in the hours. You have to work extra sometimes late in the night, just being able to stay up and get your work done as it relates to you know, your own academic work and still being able to manage your job. So it's sometimes it can definitely be challenging, but at the end, I'm pretty sure for all students, it is very much rewarding.
Yeah, so I mean, this is good. This is good to hear because sometimes if you just listen to the chatter, one would think that it's the BPO sector might not be doing enough for its employees, or it's not training them to transition out, or it's just work, work, and not enough pay. But when you think about salaries, the salaries are competitive. We're here listening to you, Victoria, on behalf of the association, and Celine being and past employee of the sector who understands how it works, and there is training that happens. There
Yeah.
is looking at how we can best fit employees with job opportunities. But in terms of indeed career opportunities within the BPOs, is there room for employees to grow within a BPO?
I do. I've always said it. For us, even right now, and a fun fact for a lot of people to know, it's about 75% of managerial are women in the
Yeah.
BPO sector. It is. We have the women are the ones that are running most of the sectors. To be honest with you, but for your pathway, that's something that we're working on. We're saying, with all the new technologies that are coming in, we need to find out to make sure that we are still valuable in the industry. So building a pathway to see what next. So we have programs that are rolling out internally to build someone to saying, if you want to move somewhere, throw your hat in. So let us understand. Let us develop you to maybe a QA, a SME role, a TL role. So we have pathways that we're growing people because the industry grows. It's really growing drastically. And again, it's like we're not working for our clients aren't from here. They're all international. So when you're getting those type of that type of growth, people that would not stay in the industry, we see them in other industries now, and it's like I have a lot of friends everywhere now. And the reality of it is the fundamentals started at the BPO. The skill set started from there. Their communication, their empathy, the way that they communicate overall, and they've always said it. They said, it was due to what we learned from you guys that made me where we're at here. So a lot of them we do have pathways for them to grow. Like I said, back in the day when you hear about a BPO, the only thing that you look at is that you're an agent, and now it's far from that because it's grown so big now. We have quality assurance, we have TLs, we have HR positions, there is recruitment, there's marketing, we have engagement officers, there's all these other positions once you're interested that we can grow you into those roles.
That's fantastic to hear. So there is the beginning and the effort being made to ensure that there are career paths,
Yes.
opportunities within the BPO sector for employees. Transitioning out of the BPO sector, though, is still a reality. And what percentage you think is really taking that job as a stepping stone?
Right now, I am honestly believing with all the graduates that are coming in, you see them just coming in to the BPO sector because there's not jobs out there. So it is like you're saying, on our graduation class, everybody will reach there at some point, even the ones that say, I would never work at a BPO. You see them get there. So I'm saying about 75 to 80% of everybody graduating at some point will reach there.
Yep, until maybe something.
Until they find something, their dream job that they're looking for.
Yes. So, Celine, maybe you could speak. So where are the persons who are transitioning out of the BPOs going? We had, just before we took the break, you had started saying, I think a lot of the public sector type of jobs that they were looking for. How are they planning for this transition? Are they taking the BPO job and hoping the BPO will prepare them for it? Or do they realize that they're taking this job to prepare themselves for life, to have financial gain, hopefully to take themselves back to school so that they can then move out into what would be their preferred career choice?
I think it's more so that I think a majority of the employees coming into the BPO are graduates, indeed, more so high school graduates. So we have high school graduates coming into the BPO sector just to be able to gain some kind of financial independence, which leads to financial stability. So once they're able to gain some kind of financial stability, then they're like, okay, I'm making money now. I can be able to send myself back to school, which could help me get a degree, and hopefully I can get the job that I want. But I would say that most BPO employees who are transitioning out of the sector are transitioning to nursing because a lot of them are employed and are going to school to study nurse. So the moment they complete that nursing degree, they're like, okay, this is my green card, my green ticket, I'm good to go. Then they transition out. You have a lot of employees though who are in the BPO sector and they're working. And I think a lot of them are saying that they would not want to be in the BPO sector, but they are not more so doing anything else really to transition them out of. And in my research, we covered one of the questions that I asked was if they feel like the skills and the training that they're learning at the BPO are indeed transferable skills that they can then transfer into these different positions. And they're saying yes, they're transferable skills, but they don't have the qualification. So that's like a gap there that I'm hoping that eventually the BPO, that was one of the suggestions from my research, that the BPO industry was collaborate with the government and different government institutions like Beltrade, for example, and maybe offer some type of fund or some type of money or something to help employees that are willing to go back to school, which can then contribute to more sustainability as we look at Belizean workforce on a whole. Employees who are able to go back to school and transition then into a career and become more stable, that would help the overall workforce in the entire country of Belize.
Okay.
I think there's a little bit of misconception there because we work hand in hand with Beltrade. They do a lot of workshops with us. We do a lot of training with them as well. Chamber of Commerce as well has stepped up for within the last 2 years. If you notice the job fair, a lot of the dedication is with the BPO sector, and as well as, I must say, the government of Belize has always supported us in everything when it comes down to that. With what next? How could we help you? How could we assist you to making sure that you guys will stay sustainable in the country? So we've had great relationships with them, and like I said, with Miss Diane Chamberlain as well, with her bringing this other funding. So there's all these other things happening. I think if you're not directly connected to the BPO sector, you might not realize that it's happening, but it actually is.
Yep. So I also think that while we want support for education, I think it's also incumbent on us as individuals to pursue our education. So if you're working somewhere that is not educating you, or where you're finding as the years pass by, there's a gap being created, because if you want to transition as you grow out of your high school, being a fresh out of high school person to now becoming more of a mature adult who's looking for other careers, then you also need to invest in your own education. So I believe there's only so much that you will get from any particular sector or institution in terms of developing you, but you have to also be willing to input into your own education.
That's right, because we're giving development for our sector, and we can't give without beyond our sector, because what we're covering is what we're offering to make sure that makes sense for us. So that is our skill set that we're doing. So if someone is interested to go somewhere else for something different, then that won't work, because we're catering for our needs, definitely. Another thing with it is, if you look at how the sector has grown over the years, it's not high school anymore, applying anymore, and I can say that up front because I'm a recruiter. So when I'm seeing the applications coming in, their masters coming in now, I have master's level applying directly to us because now they're asking us, do you have anything more in the back office positions? And there's a lot of back office positions that are open for our sector as well, because there are clients that are reaching out and saying, we need law firm assistants. We're looking for accountants. Do you have any accountants with, with this type of platform? Are they able to do that? So all these other sectors are running in the back. And I think what is happening is the BPO sector isn't displaying it or not saying, this is what's happening. People are looking at it as a stepping stone, and we have grown so far from a stepping stone. There's a lot of career growth in the sector. Like I said, of recently, I've had teachers that have been, saying, hey, do you have any availability? I'd want to leave my sector because of the type of compensation that you receive in our sector.
And you brought up exactly what I was going to ask. I know of recent there has been the challenge, if we could term it that way, of teachers leaving the education sector to move into the BPOs. And I know as a key part of the recruitment for Galen University, we do say to our prospective students, that we need educators. We offer educational programs, and we're hoping that they will be part of the new flow of educators coming into the system, because we're losing educators to the foreign countries, we're losing them to the BPO sector. And it's interesting that you said the salary, because I believe it's a salary maybe combined with, I don't know, the stress.
The benefits.
And the benefits. And so it's the benefits, the salary, and maybe the kind of work that you have. While the BPO sector, from what I'm hearing, can bring its own stress. All jobs bring its own stress. But in the classrooms now, at certain levels, there's a lot of other dynamics and factors and variables that teachers are having to contend with. And so what from the association level, from what you know, what is...
So for the association level, I spoke with my president, and we had that discussion, because at the end of the day, we are Belizeans, we are in the same economy, and we have children in these economies. We, and it's hard to, even when I go for my children and they said, we lost a teacher, and I'm all like, and did you take the person? We're like, no, we did not, and that is the first thing. What happens is, they blame us for everything. It's like the BPO took them. And the reality of it is, a lot of them went away. It wasn't really the BPO took them. But I do hear the cries of them saying, Miss Vic, do you have like a part-time we can do? And we're even thinking about maybe for summer, when there's that gap for them, could we figure something out for them to could work with us, maybe the part-time. So there's programs that we're trying to develop within this year that is coming, is to see how can we help the teachers as well, and so maybe we could develop something for them to work part-time, because some of them really love what they do. They think that's why they got there, but at the same time I think they're feeling like we need to do something more.
Yeah. Celine, I don't know if you want to chime in on that particular point. Was there any information you got from your research that speaks to this transitioning? Well, this is kind of a reverse thing. This is other sectors moving to the BPO sector. Anything from your research?
Yes, to a certain extent, because the financial dependency, it's really to a level where employees are saying yes to BPO, or all job at that comes with its stress, or whether it's strict KPIs, whether it's goals that they feel like they're not meeting. They don't feel like a lot of them would want to leave the BPO sector because they have become financially dependent on the sector. One of my colleagues in the master's class he focused on teachers transitioning into the BPO sector, or attrition rates, I think, as it relates to that. But I completely understand that point as well, and I would say it is definitely because of the financial dependence and the benefits that comes with the BPO sector. So yes, the BPO sector have it cons as it relates to the different negative things about it. But I think when I discussed in the job satisfaction that I looked at that contributed to career mobility, job satisfaction really spoke about what are you as a person satisfied with, or what do you prioritize first? And a lot of people are saying that they prioritize making money. They want to make good money. They want to make bonuses. They want to be able to work overtime, work the holiday pay. And they're saying no place would pay me at like the BPO. And even more so, they're also saying that they can go and they can apply for a job at a BPO and it's not politically affiliated whatsoever. So compared to a lot of these other jobs that people aspire to be, the topic of political clientelism that I mentioned earlier comes up, where you just need to have some kind of political ties or connection to get the job. Compared to a BPO, you apply for a BPO, you get it. Some BPOs are doing hire instant. So because of all of these, the BPO sector making it just competitive, the salary, the benefits, the whole job orientation and reaching out to people, the hours to a certain point. They're going hiring people part time now, maybe in the future. So because of all of that, it has just become really, really competitive, a competitive job. But at the same time, I think it is important for us to mention that we need to ensure to a certain point that there is a balance in the workforce, because we don't want to necessarily drain the workforce with all the educated people because they're not getting paid enough in these different sector. Teaching, which is very, very important, we need educators. So I think the BPO is really stepping it up as it relates to salary and benefits. So then that again would go back to say to these different organizations, whether it is, religion based like Catholic or Anglican or the different dioceses, to also be able to, they have to step their game up, because in the country of Belize, we need to have a balanced workforce. We can't have every person going to the BPO sector and then we don't have nobody else to do the other jobs.
Okay. Is that a risk that we should be concerned about other sectors not necessarily having the persons they need? Or is it also a factor of BPO jobs are available when in the amounts, when we have every year we graduate how many thousands of students, where are high school, we have like 6 or 7 high school in this country. Every year they graduate an average of, when we I must say 60 to 70 students. Many of the schools have bigger fourth farm cohorts. Where are they filtering into? We're graduating 6 formers. And if we want to see our human capital further their education, then they have to be able to afford it. And not everybody will be able to get a scholarship to do so. And so it's a cycle. Everything is impacting the other. You were going to say something though, Victoria?
No, it's true. It's exactly what she said. I mean, like I walk anywhere and someone's like, Miss Victoria, we can't even get someone to bill our blocks for us. You guys are draining everyone. I go to the gas station, it's the same thing. But then I'm telling them, you can't really blame us. It is the competitive wages. End of the day, if we're paying that, they're like, they can't get someone to go outside and work outside in the sun, because they go and they tell you, no, I can go to a BP and work in the AC all day. So it's all these benefits, but at the end of the day, I'm saying, I understand it, I get it, but at the end of the day, we have to do what we can do for our own. If we don't keep on having the jobs for them, then where do they actually go?
Yeah, this has been such a fantastic conversation. We have 6 minutes to go, and in that last 6 minutes, I want to give both of you an opportunity to give your last words, and maybe if you can focus your last words about what you envision for the future of BPOs in Belize over the next 5, maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
You want to go first, Victoria?
Yeah. So where I envision the BPO sector to be is to be a prime hub, especially Belize. We have the diverse cultures. We have what we are seeing. People are saying we're competitive amongst each other. The reality of it is no, we're competitive nationwide, because right now We're battling with Jamaica for clients. We're battling with Philippines for clients. We're battling international for clients, you know, and that's a good thing because we're there. And the reason for it is we're bilingual. We have the bilingual. We have English as our prime language. We have our people that come from a family base. So with the family base that they're coming from, their strongest skill is empathy. And that is what clients want. They want our people to get on those calls and be empathetic. And that has putting us somewhere on the top that I've said we're there, you know, and that's the good part about it, coming from the BPO industry and understanding what the sector is looking for. That makes us proud because we know we're in competition internationally. For Belize, I do believe in the next 5 years, yes, AI is coming, we get that, but what we need to do as a sector is to train our people. Let's get them the right skill set. Let's move them up into other positions that they can go into in the sector. Because the sector has a lot of open doors. There's a lot of doors for them to go into and for us to build them to higher levels. More the HR, accountants, law firms, all of these are requests that are coming internationally now. Those are some things we never had before. And now we're there. So I do see us as an international hub for Belize, for us to grow and for us to have more extended. And I've always said, definitely to Belizeans, I said, if you don't know it, ask someone. You'll be interested. You'll definitely be interested to hear what the stories that we can say. It's great to hear when we hear our Belizeans say, they bought their house from through a BPO. We went through our education system. The young lady, she said, you know, she's at her master's. Congratulations on that, definitely. It makes us feel good, even if it's not from the BPO we're at, but it makes us know that we did something.
The sector is contributing immensely to our economy and to our people. Celine, your last words?
Yes, so I would say that in the next 5 years, I would see the BPO growing significantly. It's about 18 to 20,000 employees currently. I would say maybe to 25 to 30,000 because it's growing significantly. And like you shared earlier, every year there's a graduating class, and there is a cycle. And you know, at least we have employees. I think the Prime Minister of Belize said no that 1 in every 3 people can go today and get a job. So I'm just imagining in the next 5 years where the BPO sector would be, it would grow. And I think with AI coming in, AI is here to stay. So I think the BPO would use AI, you know, integrate it along with the BPO sector so that they can be more productive and, you know, just continue to help many young students from out of high school, you know, further develop their basic skills and help them to gain some kind of financial dependency, financial stability, and just continue to overall help as it relates to Belize economy.
Very good. Ladies, thank you both for joining us tonight. I want to make a plea to our men to come back to the classroom. We're talking about coming out of high school and entering the BPO sector, any sector, and then being a little bit concerned about what's next because we're not able to increase our education. But I want to say to all Belizeans, your education is accessible. At Galen, we have so many people coming to school while they're still working. So it's not an issue if you have to give up your jobs to come to school. I want to say to our men, where we're still seeing more women, because you mentioned how many women are in leadership roles or managerial supervisor roles and heading units. And this is beginning to happen more and more. But I want to say to our men, come back to the classroom. Come reduce this disparity that we're seeing between right now at Galen, in every 3 students, 1 is a male, 2 is a female. That's what we're seeing. And that has been a little bit of improvement because we've been constantly saying to our men to come back to school. But I want to say to our general population, school is accessible now. Reach out to Galen if you want to find out how accessible we are to you. And come back and finish what you started. Your high school education is a foundation. There are jobs open to you at the entry level with that, but if you want to progress in life and within the different sectors, then education is the way to go. I thank Victoria Tun and I thank Celine Barrow for joining us here tonight. It is always a pleasure to be here on the Galen Hour. See you same place, same time next week, Wednesday, for another episode of the Galen Hour. Have a good night and thank you for joining us.